A Harris County man is charged with murdering his daughter.
This after investigators tell us the woman died of an overdose from fentanyl that he allegedly gave her. ABC 13 Shannon Ryan joining us now live outside of the victim's A-Leaf apartment, where police say this all took place. And Shannon, this is relatively a new charge for the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
Hey there, yes, it is. Back in 2023, the Texas legislature passed a law allowing for fentanyl murder charges. That was the same year this woman died. The Harris County District Attorney's Office tells me this case is one of the first such instances where they've used that law.
The table was set with care: turkey, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and all the traditional fixings. Family photos adorned the walls of the Houston home, capturing smiles and embraces from happier times. But on November 23, 2023, no one in the Youngblood family would gather around that table. Instead, the sound of police radios crackled through the neighborhood as red and blue lights flashed against the windows of nearby homes. Thanksgiving Day, a time for gratitude and family togetherness, transformed into a nightmare for one Texas family when 27-year-old Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood's body was discovered. The shocking truth would soon emerge. Her own father, Joshua Youngblood, had provided her with a lethal dose of fentanyl, watching as the poison took effect while he committed additional horrific acts. When we received the call, we knew this wasn't a typical overdose case, said Detective Marcus Reynolds of the Houston Police Department. The circumstances immediately raised alarm bells. A young woman dead on a family holiday is tragic enough, but what we uncovered in our investigation revealed something far more disturbing. A father who betrayed his most fundamental duty to protect his child. The case would reveal a calculated plot that left investigators stunned. Joshua Youngblood hadn't simply failed to help his daughter as she struggled for life. He had deliberately administered the deadly substance, using her final moments to commit additional crimes against another victim present that day. What drives a parent to harm their own child? How does someone cross that unthinkable line? And what warning signs might have been missed in the days and weeks leading up to this tragedy? If you're watching this video, take a moment to consider. Have you ever witnessed concerning behavior in families around you? What would you do if you suspected someone was in danger? Drop a comment below sharing your thoughts. Your insight might help someone recognize a dangerous situation before it's too late. Stay with me as we examine the life of Jade Youngblood, a young woman described by loved ones as generous to a fault, a peacemaker, and the light of her family, and the series of events that led to her untimely death at the hands of someone who should have protected her above all others. Welcome to the Dark Trace Crime Stories. Whether you're returning or joining us for the first time, we're glad you're here. If you find value in stories that shine a light on justice and the lives behind the headlines, please consider supporting the channel by subscribing, liking this video, and sharing it with others. Born on July 17, 1996, in Houston, Texas, Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood grew up as the kind of person who left an impression on everyone she met. Friends and family describe a young woman whose warmth and generosity defined her, someone who would, without hesitation, give you literally the shirt off her back if you needed it. Jade was our light, her mother Bernice Brooke Johnson explained in a tearful press conference following her daughter's death. She loved unconditionally. She always tried to bring people together, especially family members who had drifted apart. This natural ability to bridge divides earned Jade a special place within her blended family. Growing up with at least one half-brother, she recognized early the complexities of family dynamics and made it her mission to strengthen those bonds rather than let them fray. According to her mother, Jade worked particularly hard to heal the relationship between her father Joshua and her half-brother, demonstrating wisdom beyond her years. She wanted everyone to get along, Bernice recalled. Even when there was tension or disagreement, Jade would be the one to step in, to find common ground, to remind us all that family matters most. The children in Jade's extended family adored her, affectionately calling her TT, a nickname that reflected her special status in their lives. Though public records don't indicate that Jade had children of her own, she embraced her role as aunt with complete devotion. She was the one who remembered birthdays, who showed up at school events, who listened to stories about code playground adventures with genuine interest. The kids would light up when TT Jade walked into a room a family friend shared. She'd get down on the floor to play with them, no matter how tired she was from work. She made each child feel like they were the most important person in the world. Jade's commitment to family extended to holiday gatherings, which she approached with enthusiasm and care. Thanksgiving, in particular, held special meaning for her, a time to bring everyone together, to set aside differences, and to focus on gratitude. The cruel irony that her life would end on this day of all days adds another layer of heartbreak to an already devastating story. Those who knew Jade speak of her infectious laugh, her ability to find joy in simple moments, and her unwavering loyalty. She wasn't perfect, no one is, but she consistently tried to be better, to do better, to love better. She was, by all accounts, someone who made the world around her warmer through her presence. When you met Jade, you felt like you'd known her forever, said a childhood friend. She had this way of making you feel comfortable, accepted. There was no judgment with her, just genuine interest and care. As we continue to examine the circumstances of Jade's death, it's important to remember that she was far more than a victim in a tragic case. She was a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend, a young woman with dreams and plans, with people who loved her, with a future that was stolen from her on that Thanksgiving Day in 2023. The loss of someone like Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood leaves a void that can never truly be filled, a testament to the unique space she occupied in the lives of those fortunate enough to know her. Houston, Texas, the sprawling metropolis where Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood was born, raised, and ultimately lost her life. The city's distinctive blend of Southern hospitality and urban energy formed the backdrop to Jade's 27 years. With its diverse neighborhoods, humid climate, and strong sense of community, Houston shaped Jade's identity just as she left her mark on those around her. The fourth largest city in America might seem overwhelming to outsiders, but to Jade, it was simply home. She navigated its streets with the confidence of someone who belonged, maintaining connections throughout the city's vast expanse. While public records don't specify which Houston neighborhood the Youngblood family called home, the city's influence on their lives is undeniable. By November 2023, the family structure that Jade had worked so hard to strengthen had developed complex fault lines. Her parents, Bernice Brooke Johnson and Joshua Youngblood, were no longer together, creating the divided loyalties common in separated families. Jade's relationship with her father, Joshua, remained intact, though the nature of their interactions would later come under intense scrutiny following her death. The blended family dynamic meant Jade served as a bridge between different households. Her half-brother, whose name has been withheld from public records, represented one of the relationships Jade actively worked to improve, particularly focusing on healing tensions between him and their father Joshua. This peacemaking role became central to Jade's identity within the family system. She always wanted everyone to get along, Bernice would later tell investigators. Even when it seemed impossible, Jade believed family could overcome anything if they just tried hard enough. As Thanksgiving 2023 approached, preparations began across Houston for the cherished American holiday. For many families, including Jade's, the day represented an opportunity to set aside differences and come together in gratitude. Text messages recovered from Jade's phone revealed her excitement about the upcoming holiday, with plans to connect with various family members throughout the day. What no one could have anticipated was that November 23, 2023, would mark not a celebration, but the end of Jade's life. The day began like any other Thanksgiving. Morning texts exchanging well wishes, discussions about food and gathering times, the normal rhythm of a holiday Thursday in Texas. Jade had arranged to spend part of the day with her father, Joshua Youngblood, bringing along a friend. This decision, to visit her father on Thanksgiving, aligned perfectly with Jade's lifelong commitment to maintaining family bonds. It was an ordinary choice that would lead to extraordinary tragedy. The Houston weather that Thursday was mild by late November standards. Temperatures in the 60s, partly cloudy skies, a gentle breeze. Perfect weather for families to gather, for football games on television, for second helpings of pumpkin pie. Perfect weather for everything, except what actually transpired in one Houston home, where a father's actions would forever shatter the family his daughter had tried so hard to keep together. The weeks leading up to Thanksgiving 2023 had been ordinary for Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood. Phone records would later show regular communication with family members, including several exchanges with her father, Joshua Youngblood. These messages revealed nothing unusual, just normal conversations about upcoming holiday plans and family gatherings. November began with Jade reaching out to various family members, coordinating who would be where for the holiday. True to her nature as the family connector, she attempted to organize a schedule that would allow her to see as many loved ones as possible on Thanksgiving Day. Text messages recovered from her phone showed her typical enthusiasm. Can't wait to see everyone. This year, we all have so much to be thankful for. In the days immediately preceding Thanksgiving, Jade spoke with her mother Bernice several times. During their last conversation on November 22nd, Jade mentioned her plans to visit her father the following day. "I'm bringing a friend with me," she told her mother. "Dad seemed happy about us coming over." Bernice would later recall feeling nothing but normal maternal concern, the kind any parent might feel when their child mentions holiday plans. The morning of November 23rd dawned in Houston with the promise of a typical Thanksgiving. Across the city, families woke early to begin cooking, to watch parade coverage on television, to prepare for gatherings with loved ones. For Jade, the day began with a series of text messages to family members, wishing them a happy holiday and confirming her plans. Around 11:30 a.m., according to cell phone data later analyzed by investigators, Jade and her friend arrived at Joshua Youngblood's residence. Neighbors would later report seeing Jade's car pull into the driveway, noting nothing unusual about the scene, just a daughter visiting her father on a holiday, a common sight across America on that particular Thursday. What happened inside the house over the next few hours would only be pieced together later through forensic evidence, witness testimony from Jade's friend, and Joshua Youngblood's eventual statements to authorities. The gathering began normally enough. Conversation, perhaps some food, the typical elements of a family holiday visit. At some point during the early afternoon, Joshua Youngblood produced what he presented as a recreational substance. According to court documents, he specifically offered powdered fentanyl to both Jade and her friend. Whether Jade knew exactly what she was being given remains unclear, but what is certain is that her father, the man who should have protected her above all others, deliberately provided her with a lethal substance. Security camera footage from a neighboring house captured no unusual activity outside the residence during this time. No raised voices were heard, no signs of distress visible from the exterior. The ordinary appearance of the scene made what was happening inside all the more disturbing. By mid-afternoon, the effects of the fentanyl began to take hold. Jade's friend, whose identity has been protected in court documents, later described feeling increasingly impaired, with periods of consciousness alternating with blackouts. During one of these periods of awareness, the friend observed Jade appearing severely affected by the drug, struggling to remain conscious. What the friend couldn't know, was that Joshua Youngblood was not simply participating in recreational drug use with his daughter and her friend. He was executing a calculated plan with motives that would shock even veteran law enforcement officials when later revealed. As Jade's condition deteriorated, her father made no move to seek medical assistance. Phone records show no calls to emergency services from his device. Instead, according to later testimony, he watched as his daughter struggled, her breathing becoming increasingly labored, her body fighting against the powerful synthetic opioid flooding her system. Outside the house, other Houston families were gathering around tables laden with traditional Thanksgiving meals. Children were playing in yards, adults were watching football games, dishes were being washed, leftovers packed away. The normal rhythm of the holiday continued uninterrupted while inside Joshua Youngblood's residence, a young woman's life was slipping away. By early evening, when most families were finishing their Thanksgiving celebrations, Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood had stopped breathing. The official time of death would later be established through forensic analysis, But one fact remained clear. At no point did her father attempt to save her life. As darkness fell over Houston that Thanksgiving night, most residents had no idea that a tragedy had unfolded in their midst. Jade's mother, Bernice, having not heard from her daughter, began sending increasingly worried text messages that would never be answered. Other family members, expecting to see Jade later in the day, wondered about her absence, unaware that they would never see her alive again. The full horror of what transpired in those hours would only come to light in the days that followed, revealing a betrayal so profound it defied comprehension.
Clutching a photo of her daughter, Jade Youngblood, tightly to her chest, Bernice Hawkins speaks directly to the man accused of killing her.
Josh, you are a vile person. This is a heinous crime. Jade loved you, and you took her from us.
Hawkins says she conceived Jade with Josh Youngblood when the two were in high school.
Josh was a come-and-go kind of person when it was convenient for him, and then as Jade got older, it was more of what could Jade do for Josh.
Even still, Hawkins says her daughter, who had a bleeding heart and big voice,
this is the last love song I'll ever write for you,
fought for the relationship.
She craved the love of her father, and I think she gave him a lot of exceptions and allowed him a lot of leniency in areas that other people probably would not.
On Thanksgiving Day 2023, authorities allege Youngblood took advantage of that love, reportedly plying 27-year-old Jade and her friend with fentanyl.
Because he had an ulterior motive to hurt somebody else.
As Youngblood's own daughter lay dying from an overdose, DEA Houston acting special agent in charge Will Kimball alleges he sexually assaulted her unconscious friend.
This case is extremely
Fentanyl,
disheartening.
a synthetic opioid 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine, has carved a devastating path across America. Originally developed for pain management in cancer patients, this powerful drug has infiltrated the illicit market with deadly consequences. A lethal dose can be as small as 2 milligrams, roughly the size of a few grains of salt, making it one of the most dangerous substances in the ongoing opioid crisis. For Joshua Youngblood, fentanyl wasn't just a drug, it was a weapon. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration's investigation, the powdered fentanyl Joshua provided to Jade and her friend that Thanksgiving Day wasn't obtained accidentally or casually. Evidence recovered from his home, including digital communications and additional quantities of the drug, indicated that he had acquired the substance deliberately and with specific intent. This wasn't a case of a parent sharing drugs with adult children in some misguided attempt at bonding, explained DEA Special Agent Thomas Ramirez. Our investigation revealed that Joshua Youngblood understood exactly what he was providing and the likely effects it would have. The premeditation extended beyond merely supplying the drug. As Jade and her friend succumbed to fentanyl's powerful effects, Joshua executed the next phase of his plan. With both young women severely impaired, he sexually assaulted Jade's friend, a crime made possible by the very substance he had provided. Meanwhile, Jade's condition worsened rapidly. Fentanyl suppresses the respiratory system, causing breathing to become shallow and eventually stop altogether. Medical experts who later reviewed the case estimated that intervention within the first 30 to 45 minutes might have saved her life. Naloxone, commonly known as Narcan, can reverse opioid overdoses if administered quickly enough. Joshua Youngblood made no such attempt to save his daughter. Phone records show that he made no calls to emergency services. Neighbors reported seeing no unusual activity, no one rushing from the house seeking help. Instead, as Jade's breathing slowed and eventually stopped, her father continued his assault on her incapacitated friend. The discovery of Jade's body came hours later, after her friend regained enough awareness to realize the severity of the situation. Disoriented and traumatized, the friend managed to contact another person who called 911. First responders arrived at approximately 9:45 p.m. on Thanksgiving night, long after Jade had passed away. When we entered the residence, it was immediately clear this was no ordinary overdose scene, recalled paramedic Jessica Martinez. The positioning of the victim, the condition of the home, the behavior of the other individuals present, everything pointed to something far more disturbing than an accidental overdose. Police officers who responded to the scene described finding Joshua Youngblood present in the home, appearing intoxicated but conscious. His behavior during initial questioning raised immediate suspicions, with officers noting inconsistencies in his account of the evening's events. The medical examiner would later confirm what investigators already suspected. Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood died from acute fentanyl poisoning. Toxicology reports revealed a concentration of the drug in her system far exceeding what would be considered lethal, even for someone with tolerance to opioids. As evidence mounted, the Harris County District Attorney's Office made the decision to charge Joshua Youngblood not simply with drug distribution resulting in death, but with murder. The additional charge of aggravated sexual assault reflected the calculated nature of his actions against Jade's friend. This case represents one of the most disturbing breaches of trust we've encountered, stated District Attorney Kim Ogg during a press conference announcing the charges. A father deliberately poisoned his own daughter and exploited the situation to commit additional crimes. We will pursue justice for Jade Youngblood with every resource at our disposal. What would drive a father to commit such a horrific act against his own child? How does someone cross that unthinkable line from parent to predator? Is this a case of long-term planning or opportunistic evil? Comment below with your thoughts on what might lead someone to betray the most fundamental bond of protection between parent and child. Your perspective might help others understand the warning signs of dangerous family dynamics before tragedy strikes. The investigation into Jade Youngblood's death began the moment first responders arrived at Joshua Youngblood's Houston home that Thanksgiving night. What initially appeared to be a potential overdose quickly transformed into something far more complex, as officers noted inconsistencies in Joshua's statements and the disturbing condition of the scene. We treat every unexpected death as suspicious until proven otherwise, explained Detective Maria Sanchez of the Houston Police Department's Homicide Division. But certain elements of this scene immediately raised red flags: the victim's position, the timeline described by the witnesses, and most importantly, the physical condition of the surviving victim. Jade's friend, still heavily affected by the fentanyl in her system, was transported to Memorial Hermann Hospital for treatment and examination. It was during this medical assessment that evidence of sexual assault was discovered, adding another disturbing dimension to an already tragic case. As a friend's condition stabilized, she provided investigators with crucial testimony about the events leading up to Jade's death. Her account described Joshua Youngblood deliberately providing both women with what he identified as fentanyl, followed by periods where she drifted in and out of consciousness. During these vulnerable moments, she recalled Joshua sexually assaulting her while Jade lay unresponsive nearby. The survivor's testimony was absolutely critical, noted Assistant District Attorney James Wilson. Her courage in coming forward, despite the trauma she experienced, provided the foundation for our case against Joshua Youngblood. Forensic teams meticulously processed the residence, collecting biological evidence, fingerprints, and trace materials. Digital forensics specialists extracted data from phones and computers found in the home, revealing communications that supported the premeditated nature of Joshua's actions. Particularly damning was the discovery of additional quantities of fentanyl in Joshua's possession, packaged in a manner consistent with distribution rather than personal use. Financial records showed recent transactions that investigators linked to the purchase of illegal substances. The medical examiner's office conducted a thorough autopsy, confirming that Jade died from acute fentanyl toxicity. The concentration of the drug in her system indicated an amount far exceeding recreational use, supporting the theory that Joshua had deliberately administered a potentially lethal dose. The toxicology results were definitive, stated Dr. Eleanor Park of the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office. The levels of fentanyl present in Ms. Youngblood's system were substantially higher than what we typically see even in overdose cases. This raises serious questions about intent. As evidence mounted, the Harris County District Attorney's Office made the decision to pursue the most serious charges possible. On December 5, 2023, Joshua Youngblood was formally charged with murder by fentanyl delivery, aggravated sexual assault, and possession of a firearm by a felon, a prior conviction that added to the severity of his legal situation. This case represents a perfect storm of predatory behavior, District Attorney Kim Ogg explained during the press conference announcing the charges. We believe the evidence shows that Joshua Youngblood deliberately used a deadly substance to incapacitate his victims, resulting in his daughter's death and the sexual assault of another young woman. The state of Texas takes these crimes extremely seriously. The investigation continued to develop as additional witnesses came forward, including family members who provided context about the relationship between Jade and her father. These testimonies painted a picture of a daughter who had consistently tried to maintain a relationship with her father despite complex family dynamics, a loyalty that was ultimately exploited in the most devastating way possible. Law enforcement officials emphasized that the case highlighted the increasing use of murder charges in fentanyl-related deaths, particularly when evidence suggests intentional delivery of the drug with knowledge of its potentially lethal effects. This case goes beyond a typical overdose scenario, Detective Sanchez concluded. The evidence points to calculated actions with tragic consequences. The news of Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood's death and the horrific circumstances surrounding it devastated her family. For her mother, Bernice Brooke Johnson, the pain was compounded by the unthinkable betrayal by Jade's father. No parent should ever have to bury their child, Bernice said during a press conference held by the Harris County District Attorney's Office. Her voice trembled but remained resolute as she faced the cameras. But to lose her this way at the hands of her own father, there are no words for this kind of pain. Bernice described her daughter as the light of their family, someone whose primary goal had always been to strengthen family bonds rather than fracture them. The cruel irony that Jade died while visiting her father on a holiday centered around family togetherness was not lost on anyone present. Jade always believed in second chances, Bernice explained, tears streaming down her face. She wanted her father in her life. She wanted her brother to have a relationship with him. She was always trying to heal our family, and this is how he repaid her trust. The press conference served multiple purposes, allowing the family to honor Jade's memory, thanking law enforcement for their diligence, and warning other families about the dangers of fentanyl. Bernice's courage in speaking publicly during such a devastating time moved many in attendance to tears. Throughout Houston, the community responded with an outpouring of support for Jade's family. Vigils were organized, memorial funds established, and resources mobilized to help the family navigate their grief. Local advocacy groups focused on substance abuse prevention and family violence used the case to highlight the intersection of these issues. This tragedy touches on so many critical issues facing our community, noted Pastor Michael Williams of Hope Community Church, where a memorial service for Jade was held. The opioid crisis, family violence, the sacred trust between parent and child, all of these converged in the most heartbreaking way possible. For Jade's extended family, particularly her half-brother, the aftermath brought complicated emotions. Not only were they grieving Jade's loss, but they were also grappling with Joshua Youngblood's actions and the public nature of the case. Family members who had maintained relationships with both Jade and her father found themselves questioning everything they thought they knew about Joshua. Jade's nieces and nephews, who had adored their TT, struggled to understand her absence. The adults in the family faced the difficult task of explaining her death to the children in age-appropriate ways while processing their own grief and anger. The children keep asking when TT is coming back, a family member shared anonymously. How do you explain to a 5-year-old that someone they trusted hurt someone they loved? There's no guidebook for this kind of conversation. The ripple effects extended beyond immediate family to Jade's friends, co-workers, and acquaintances. Social media filled with tributes describing her generosity, warmth, and the positive impact she had on countless lives. Many expressed not only grief, but rage at the circumstances of her death. As the criminal case against Joshua Youngblood proceeded, Jade's family began the long process of healing, supporting each other, preserving her memory, and attempting to rebuild the connections she had worked so hard to strengthen. The absence of their peacemaker was felt acutely as they navigated this unimaginable terrain together. Jade would want us to stay united, Bernice said. Even now, especially now, that's what honors her. Jade Youngblood's death represents more than just another statistic in America's fentanyl crisis. Her story contains critical lessons about family dynamics, substance abuse, and community responsibility that might help prevent similar tragedies. By examining these elements, we can honor Jade's memory while potentially saving other lives. As of early 2024, the criminal case against Joshua Youngblood continues to move through the Texas judicial system. Following his arrest in December 2023, he was charged with murder by fentanyl delivery, aggravated sexual assault, and possession of a firearm by a felon. He remains in custody at the Harris County Detention Center, held on a $1 million bond. The Harris County District Attorney's Office has assigned a special prosecution team to the case, reflecting its severity and the complex legal questions it raises about parental responsibility, intent, and the use of fentanyl as a weapon. Prosecutors have indicated they will pursue the maximum penalties available under Texas law. This case represents one of the most profound betrayals imaginable, stated District Attorney Kim Ogg. We are committed to securing justice for Jade Youngblood and sending a clear message about the consequences of such actions. Legal experts anticipate a lengthy trial process, with extensive evidence from forensic analysis, witness testimony, and digital communications. The case has drawn attention from legal observers nationwide as an example of how fentanyl-related deaths are increasingly being prosecuted as homicides rather than accidental overdoses. Meanwhile, Jade's family has established the Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood Memorial Foundation, focused on supporting families affected by substance abuse and domestic violence. The foundation provides educational resources about fentanyl dangers and funds counseling services for families navigating complex relationships. Jade always wanted to help others, her mother Bernice explained at the foundation's launch. This allows her spirit of generosity to continue even after her death. In Houston and beyond, Jade is remembered not for how she died, but for how she lived, with compassion, warmth, and an unwavering commitment to those she loved. Her nickname, TT, lives on among her nieces and nephews, who are being raised with stories about their aunt's kindness and love. If this story affected you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more important coverage of cases that matter. We'd also like to hear from you. What state or country are you watching from? And have you witnessed similar tragedies in your community? Your experiences and insights might help others recognize warning signs before it's too late. Jade Taylor Marie Youngblood's story reminds us that behind every statistic in the fentanyl crisis is a real person with hopes, dreams, and people who love them. By sharing these stories, we honor their memory and work toward a future where such preventable tragedies no longer occur. What would justice look like in a case like this? Share your thoughts, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and help us bring more attention to stories that deserve it.